I'm Ron Strahan with the LSU Ag Center. I'm an associate professor, and I would do a lot of work in forage weed management. Today I'm going to talk about winter weed control in our hay meadows, and in particular I'm going to talk about volunteer ryegrass control. Becoming more and more of an increasing problem in our hay meadows, and kind of the reason you'd want to control ryegrass in a hay meadow: it delays green up of the Bermuda grass. It also competes with our Bermuda grass for nutrients, for water. It shades out the Bermuda grass as well. Some other issues that we see with it is it just continues to increase in population due to allowing it to go to seed. Some of the problems that we have, though, with trying to control it, normally we're trying to control the volunteer ryegrass late season. It's in late winter. We're trying to time our applications when the Bermuda grass is dormant to semi-dormant, and we're using something like glyphosate, or we might be using paraquat. Timing that application usually is kind of tricky because you can get some increased injury if the Bermuda grass is kind of greened up at that time. And another issue is just getting across our hay meadows. We usually have wet winters, and getting across those hay meadows on wet ground, you end up rutting up your fields, rutting up your hay meadows, and getting stuck occasionally. So we typically have gone with glyphosate, but we're starting to see a lot of issues with resistance with glyphosate. We've tried some of the sulfonylurea herbicides like Pastora, and it's only given us partial control. There's also some sulfonylurea resistance out there too. We've even had some reported paraquat resistance. So we're really running out of options on controlling this volunteer ryegrass and other winter vegetation in our hay meadows. So what we have out here today is some test plots and a concept of using a new herbicide called Rezilon, which is indaziflam. The timing on the indaziflam is actually in late summer for ryegrass control, or very early fall, depending on where you are in the state. But the way we time it is to go out in the fields usually at the end of summertime, and the fields are dry at that time, and we put these pre-emergence herbicides out, Rezilon, this pre-emergence herbicide, which is extremely active pre-emergence on ryegrass. And that's the plots I'm going to show you today of the Rezilon plots that we applied last September, and also some of the typical applications that we apply in late winter that we applied back in early March. So I'm going to show you that to you now. So what we have here is maybe the typical application of glyphosate in late winter. Here the application occurred March 5th, and this is the ryegrass area right here. It's a 10-foot swath here that we applied March the 5th, and this is 12 ounces of a 4-pound glyphosate. And what we have here is partial control of the volunteer ryegrass. This is likely going to still produce seed. It's just knocked back a little bit, and will likely still produce seed. So this application, usually this rate is not enough. Once the ryegrass has any size on it at all, it usually recovers from just 12 ounces of a 4-pound glyphosate. So this rate of glyphosate, this is 24 ounces of a 4-pound glyphosate. This rate of glyphosate would be a rate that you would want to go out on Bermuda grass that's fully dormant. We did this March 5th. It was coming out of dormancy, but full disclosure, on this site, we don't really have a population of Bermuda grass. This is mainly a ryegrass population. If we would have had a Bermuda grass, a big Bermuda grass population here, you might see a little bit more injury. But we did have a cold snap there where we had a lot of ice and snow, and so you probably could have gotten away this year with a March 5th application on Bermuda grass, because it probably would have been pretty well dormant at that time. But in a typical year, most of the state, Bermuda grass would likely have been out of dormancy, too far out of dormancy to put a rate of 24 ounces of a 4-pound glyphosate out. You would have had a lot of injury on your Bermuda grass. We did a decent job on the ryegrass. It's still not fully killed back, even at this high rate right here. And so this is what we're seeing a lot. You know, we just don't get a full control of the ryegrass because of some resistance issues and the fact that we're going after this particular grass when it's very large. You know, it's already fully mature when we're going after it, so our control has not been that good. But had we had a lot of Bermuda grass here, there might have been a lot more injury that we could show you here from this application of this 24 ounces per acre. So we're trying to control this ryegrass, and we often will look at different modes of action. And so Pastora is a sulfonylurea herbicide. It's usually pretty good on most annual grasses. in a hay meadow. However, it's just not that good on ryegrass, especially ryegrass is fairly mature. So here in these plots, we're only getting partial control. It's not a cheap herbicide to apply. We're only getting partial control, so it's probably not an option as a late winter time control of a ryegrass such as this volunteer ryegrass here at this location. So remember I told you this is really not a Bermuda grass location, it's more of a ryegrass location. And for us in the test plots here and what we're seeing throughout the state is Rezilon can be really good at controlling volunteer ryegrass and other annual grasses and some broadleaves in our hay meadows for wintertime vegetation. So what we did here was we made this application of Rezilon. This is 3 ounces per acre. This was applied in September, and we're timing this before the ryegrass emerges in a hay meadow setting. And this application occurred in September. It was highly effective. We got some rainfall that activated it. And as you can see, there's no ryegrass emerging here. It was actually very good on the buttercup as well. So we think this is definitely a viable option. We're seeing it throughout the state. I've looked at this for 3 or 4 years in test plots. It's been highly effective on volunteer ryegrass. So we think this is definitely an option. The good thing about this application is you're going out there in September, maybe early October, depending on where you are in the state. You're going out there on a dry hay meadow. When you're delaying, trying to control the ryegrass in late winter, maybe early spring, you stand the chance of rutting up your fields, possibly getting stuck in your hay meadow. And another issue too is the Bermuda grass may be out of dormancy. You end up causing a lot of injury on your Bermuda grass with some of these post-emergence herbicides that we've talked about. This application allows you to go out in the summertime before the ryegrass emerges, and it has been highly effective in our test plots. So we just looked at 3 ounces per acre. This is 5 ounces per acre of Rezilon and Dazaflam applied in September. And you can see it's just scorched earth here. It's even more control. This would be a labeled application also. You can make up to an application up to 5 ounces per acre at a single application. Highly effective. You can see there's no ryegrass emerging through these test plots here. So this is probably a little overkill right here for a very sensitive plant like ryegrass. But again, you make these applications in late summer, and you're targeting ryegrass and some of the winter vegetation that can occur in our hay meadows, and it has been highly effective and a good time of the year to get that taken care of with this late season application.